I never thought a simple ranch gate would turn into a full-blown war, but here we are. It all started when I bought this beautiful piece of land, my own little slice of heaven. You only catch. It was technically adjacent to a fancy new subdivision with a very enthusiastic homeowners association. My property has a private road that connects to the main highway, a shortcut that saves a good 10 minutes. I put up a simple gate, not to be mean, but for privacy and to keep my livestock safe. I figured a gate, a lock, and a private property sign would be enough. Boy, was I wrong. The first time it happened, I was mending a fence near the road and saw a shiny SUV just barrel right through my close button locked gate. The driver, a woman with that signature "I'd like to speak to the manager" haircut, didn't even slow down. I was stunned. I ran over, flagged her down as she was about to exit onto the highway and politely explained this was private property. She just scoffed and said, "The HOA said we could use this road. It's a designated access point."
Long time no see.
I was confused.
Yeah, you need
I hadn't
a ride?
agreed to anything with
If
any
you're offering,
HOA. I
get
told
in.
her as much, and she just rolled her eyes, said whatever, and sped off. I called the HOA president, who we'll call Karen. She was immediately hostile. She claimed that when the subdivision was planned, they were under the impression they'd have access. I checked my deed, my property survey, everything. There was no easement, no right-of-way, nothing. My lawyer confirmed it. This was my land, my road, plain and simple. When I explained this to Karen, she basically told me I was being selfish and unneighborly. She said her residents needed that shortcut and I was creating a huge inconvenience. The conversation ended with her threatening to explore all legal options. So, I started locking the gate. I thought that would be the end of it. Nope. A few days later I found my lock cut clean off, the chain lying in the dirt, and I started seeing tire tracks again. This happened 3 more times. Every time I replaced a lock, it would be cut within a day or 2. I even installed a heavy-duty bolt cutter-proof lock. The next morning the entire gate was on the ground, hinges busted, clearly rammed by a vehicle. The repair bill was not cheap. I was furious. This wasn't just an inconvenience anymore. This was destruction of property. I installed a trail camera. It didn't take long to get a crystal clear shot of Karen, in her same shiny SUV, getting out with bolt cutters and snipping the lock. The next video showed her literally ramming my new, reinforced gate with her vehicle. I had her dead to rights. I saved the footage and called the sheriff's department. An officer came out, took my report, looked at the footage and went to have a chat with Karen. I thought, finally, this will stop. The officer told me she was issued a warning for trespassing and destruction of property, and if it happened again, she'd be charged. For about a week, there was peace. Glorious, wonderful peace. Then, the letters started. Official-looking letters from the HOA's lawyer, filled with legal jargon, threatening a lawsuit to enforce the prescriptive easement they claimed they had. My lawyer just laughed when he saw them. He said they had no case. A prescriptive easement requires years of continuous, open use, and they hadn't even been there for 1 year. He sent a firm letter back, stating my position and warning them that my client, me, would press charges and sue for damages if the harassment and trespassing continued. You'd think that would be it, right? A warning from the police and a letter from a lawyer. But with a Karen, you can never underestimate their sense of entitlement. The final straw came when I found not just my gate destroyed again, but one of my fences about 100 yards in had been cut, and my small herd of goats had gotten out. It took me half a day to round them all up. One of them was nearly hit on the main road. That's when I knew I had to go nuclear. A simple gate was never going to be enough. I decided if they wanted to treat my property line like an imaginary suggestion, I would make it very real. I wasn't just going to build a bigger gate. I was going to build a fortress. I spent a weekend planning. I hired a local contractor who specialized in rural fencing and masonry. We were going to build a wall. Not a full-on Great Wall of China, but something just as effective for stopping an SUV. The plan was a 6-foot-high stone and mortar wall, stretching 20 feet on either side of the entrance, and in the middle, a new custom-built automatic steel gate. The kind you see at secure facilities, that slides open with a remote. The construction took about 2 weeks. The whole time I could feel the eyes of the subdivision residents on us. Karen even drove by slowly a few times, a scowl plastered on her face. It was expensive, I won't lie, but the peace of mind, priceless. The day the contractors finished was one of the best days of my life. The wall was beautiful, made from local stone, and it looked
Pause
like
for
it
a
had been
moment.
there forever.
Take a breath.
The black steel gate
Nice ride.
slid silently shut,
your moment
and I
of
knew,
peace.
with absolute certainty, that nobody was getting through that without my permission. The aftermath was almost as satisfying as the construction. The HOA's lawyer sent one more blustering letter, which my lawyer promptly used as scrap paper. I sent the HOA a bill for all the destroyed gates and the time I spent rounding up my animals, along with a copy of the video footage and a note explaining that the next incident would result in a civil suit and criminal charges. Absolute radio silence. It's been over a year now. The wall stands strong. The automatic gate works like a charm. The only cars that use my road are mine and my guests. Sometimes, when I'm out working on the ranch, I'll see a car slow down by my entrance, pause for a moment at the sight of the stone wall, and then quickly speed up and continue on the long way around. I can't help but smile every single time. It just goes to show you that good fences, or in my case a fortress wall and a steel gate, really do make good neighbors. Or at the very least they keep the bad ones out. It was a crazy battle, but my ranch is finally the peaceful sanctuary I always wanted it to be. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've had any crazy neighbor stories, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tallies from the ranch.
Please subscribe for my channel. Thanks for watching.